Hello and welcome back to the Gavra Racing GT Sport League. We are here at Suzuka for round number 5 out of 15, and it's not Cryptek in the commentary box this time. Who is joining me tonight?
It's Thunder 50-50. I should be racing, but I kind of can't race at the moment because I kind of can't use an accelerator. So I'm in the commentary box, back to season 1.
Yeah, back to the good old days. Injury preventing Thunder from racing this race, but thankfully we do have 13 drivers. Just going to quickly start with a few replacements this evening. We don't have a Rick Holt. In his place will be Ted. We don't have a Websons. In his place will be Wolfie, and replacing Thunder is the Scout Dan, who's currently in the barrier. What an unfortunate time to spectate him down at turn 1.
Maybe I should have chose Ted as my replacement.
Dan has got some rear left suspension damage and some rear aerator damage, but we went to this track last year as Finn is off into the gravel down at turn 7, and thankfully he's kept it out of the barrier. But a few mistakes early on in this session around this very challenging track, one of my personal favourites of all time. Really love this track no matter what group of car. But we're here in the 2008 Group 2 cars this time, not in the 2016 ones like we were in last season, which had some great overtaking, which Tiger Assassin won this time last season. A few mistakes from Play Dutchy, so I'm spinning out with a few laps to go, and Tiger was able to claim a victory in that one. So with an 18-minute quali, let's see who gets pole tonight.
Yeah, it's very weird because usually in this Group 1 it's all about slipstream, but Tim has just left the field behind and just doesn't bother with slipstream, which I think is very odd, especially around there's a couple of long straights. I know dirty air is very bad around here, but you usually do see the Group 1 drivers maximising slipstream to the max.
Yeah, definitely. You've got two long straights, the start-finish straight, and obviously the one going into 130R. Let's see what type of lap time Tim's able to do. It's a 149.3. Behind is Dan Schneider, who's got off at the final chicane and won't be improving on his lap and will compromise his next run. Here goes Tiger Assassin up to the line. It is 3/10 quicker than Tim, 48.9. Can Toussaint improve? Or Dan Schneider coming up to the line as well, even, sorry. They don't improve, well, they all improve on their first laps, but Dan Schneider currently in 6th place. Piero a second behind at him. Aston as well, 3/10 behind Piero. Wiggly going a 5/10 behind his teammate. So it looks like the slipstream is kind of a 50-50 chance. It's a really narrow track here, so if the driver in front makes a mistake, you're putting yourself at risk to compromising your lap. So I don't know, maybe the final sector, sorry, definitely will benefit from slipstream, as Wolfie goes up into 4th place without the slipstream, 1.1 seconds off the provisional pole time.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what is the best way to go with the slipstream or without the slipstream, because sometimes this, when you're right behind the car, can put you off a bit, but also just gives you such an advantage down the straights. And if you use it right, it's really effective, but if you don't have the right communication, if you're doing it with your teammate, it just can ruin both your laps. And yeah, me and Woody last season had a couple of fun moments with each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of a win-risk kind of situation with the slipstream. You can obviously benefit massively from getting the toe down the straights, but if the car in front makes a mistake, or you don't leave a big enough gap when you start your lap and you catch up to the car in front, can really compromise you. And especially if the car in front's on a lap, they don't legally have to pull over and get out of the way, which is kind of what Bonnie's in this kind of situation right now. He's almost pushing Piero going down the back straight into 130R. You can ride on board and see there's not much between the two, to the fact they're actually going to go wheel to wheel here in quali, and Piero's going to lift off a bit into 130R. That's going to compromise his lap. Let's see what Bonnie does here as he rounds the final few corners. I think actually Toussaint is coming round the final corner.
Going into the pit lane.
Toussaint improving 2/10 up. Now that is worthy of a replay. Let's have a look at this into the final chicane. Thunder won't be able to see this, unfortunately. Let's have a look. He pulls it late. Oh, he's hit the barrier on the left-hand side and is stuck doing a 3-point turn in a gap that is as wide as the car. Now that has got to be probably the most embarrassing moment of the season. But Wiggly Star's put himself on provisional pole position on the super soft tyres.
That's a very different strategy, because usually the strategy means starting the mediums, and then I think Aston has been pioneering starting on the softs, but it hasn't really been working out for him. So it might be something different. He might be going for the glory, but time will tell.
Yeah, it is difficult to overtake around this track, main corners being the hairpin, turn 1 and 130R, so I guess Wiggly, if he's going to put himself on provisional pole, he's got a good chance compared to the guys on mediums. If he's 4.5 tenths quicker than Tiger on the medium tyres, it might pay out if he goes for softs in his final stint. He could be someone to, you know, keep an eye out during the race. His teammate currently in 4th place. I think everyone is on the mediums, apart from Wiggly style, so Wiggly the only one on the alternate strategy.
Yeah, it could get very interesting at the start of the race, because seeming he wouldn't be usually leading the races, that you might have Tiger, Toussaint, Tim and all trying to come through the grid, and maybe there might be an instance he might bunch the pack up completely. And speaking, Dutchy's still in P13.
Yeah, he's
he
3 tenths. Currently 3 tenths purple.
Oh.
There's a little contact between him and the scout Dan. I think Dan is on a lap less. Yeah, he's on a lap, so doesn't have to get out of the way. But Dutchy finding his way through. That might have cost him the 3 tenths. He was up in the first sector. Toussaint's pulled off into the pits from his mediums. We'll be picking onto another set of mediums. The new tyre regulations being that you cannot change the compound of tyre during qualifying, but you can get a fresh set. Tiger going off wide to play Dutchy through. Doesn't want to give his championship rival the slipstream down the back straight. I think it is the longer of the 2 straights. Not sure what's longer, that one or the start finish straight.
I'd say it's the run up to 130R.
Whichever one it is, the longest straight is 1.2 kilometers. Fun fact of the day. But Dutchy going through the final chicane, where Prost and Senna had one of their famous crashes. Up to the line, it's going to be slower than Wiggly style by 4 tenths.
Wiggly style is really, he must have put in a very good lap. I know he's on the supers, but still, I wonder, did he have slipstream?
I don't think so. He's in the just in the middle, so the second sector by himself. This track has 4 sectors for some reason.
Very interesting. His tyres are pretty worn now, so I don't think he'd be getting another decent lap. So he'll probably pit, put them back on, and then go again. But very interesting strategy by Wiggly.
And through the first sector, Tiger's 2.5 tenths up. But similarly with Dutchy, has found himself stuck behind the scout down, getting a little bit frustrated, pulling alongside, going down the inside and towards Stegner 1. Might have just cut the corner a little bit, but I think he got away with it. No 5 tenth penalty given. Has lost 2 tenths though through that little shenanigans with Dan. Not Dan's fault. I think he is on a lap. I think he's going for another one. 51.6. I think he can definitely go a little bit quicker than that. I'm going to keep on board with Tiger. You can see the train that's forming in this third sector here. It's a massive slipstream train that is so familiar in this league.
Yeah, Scout Dan, that's just the way it goes in these qualities. You don't have to go out of the way, but I feel Toussaint wants to be behind Tiger, and I feel like he could get very close to Dan coming into chicane for some reason. He might be a bit later on the brakes. And yeah, you don't want anyone crashing in qualifying, because just once you're out of sync with the slipstream, it's very hard to put a good lap in.
Yeah, definitely. Piero improves on his time, 150.2. There's about 6 or 7 cars in this train. I think Dutchy's near the front of it. Aston backing off in towards 130R, letting everyone go through. Tiger's got Tim in front, but in the qualifying session, he's only going to have Wiggly in front as he improves by 1 tenth, goes 600ths clear of Play Dutchy. 3 tenths behind Wiggly style on the mediums. It's a good running from all these guys in the mediums, but Wiggly's just found that extra bit of pace on the super softs.
Yeah, and in 3.5 tenths is a big margin around here, and you just wonder what strategy he'll go for. Will you go for super, medium, soft? I'd say that'd be the best. So you're quick at the middle, or you're quick at the end. But around this track, mistakes will be made. The AstroTurfs on the entry and exits are absolutely lethal.
Toussaint's currently a 10th down in his time, going wheel to wheel with Dan through turn 7. Someone's off the track. I think that's Piero aborting his lap, letting the faster guys go through. Let's have a look at Toussaint's second sector. Is he improving? Did he get compromised? No, he's 1.5 tenths down. Bonnie also behind. Wolfie's in the wall there, didn't get damage on the exit of the second. Degner still in the walls, but is able to keep it out of the barriers without damage. Thankfully for him, with 6.5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session, about 3 laps to go if you can set consecutive ones, but I think only 2 left, adding on a pit stop time.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'd say nobody's going to want to lead the pack for the last lap, so We might see it like a Monza 2019, or every year Monza, to be honest, where nobody's wanting to lead.
Yeah, we're going to probably see a few of those Monza shenanigans. Dan Schneider up into second place on the medium tyres. 3/10 behind Wiggly, 300ths ahead of Tiger. That's a really good time from him. Tiger stays out and will be completing this lap. I don't think it's going to be an improvement though, as he's 2.5 tenths down. His personal best will probably come into the pits, get a fresh set of tyres. Bon Evil up into third place, and Tim on provisional pole on those medium tyres, 4/10 clear of Wiggly style, a 1 minute 48.484. That's a really good lap from him.
On the mediums as well, which is amazing. But Wiggly's coming to the end of sector 1 now in a few. Oh, he's 3/10 down, so this lap might do it. He's 5 minutes though, so would he get back into the pits? I'd say so.
Yeah, well, if you take the average lap of a pit stop and a flying lap to be 2 minutes long, with 5 minutes left in the quali session, he should make it, adding on even slowing down for slipstream or such. But Tim, really good lap from him. I think he did have slipstream behind Play Dutchy, I think. He's currently in 6th place.
Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic by Dutchy. He's in no man's land as well, no slipstream or anything. So it's going to be very interesting. Does he slow down? But everyone's fairly far behind him. He's got Wolfie a little bit behind him, so he might let him through. But yeah, very weird by Dutchy. Usually he'd be well at the front.
Yeah, not including Fuji. The Fuji sprint, sorry, but Dutchy taking pole position in 3 races out of 4. Even in the sprint, well, after the sprint race, the sprint quali, he took pole. But currently down in 6th place. We kind of have a jumbled up grid here. Tiger in 5th, Toussaint in 7th. It'd be interesting to see if they can work their way up the field a bit more.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm really impressed by Wiggly and Bonnie and Dan Snyder. But Bonnie getting really close to Toussaint in the final, and they both go into the pits. So
the majority of the grid actually in the pits, to be fair.
It's always annoying in this game the way it takes about like 10 seconds to actually get to your pit box when you enter the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't think it. Obviously, you see this this kind of cinematic camera shots that the drivers see as well. You don't actually see the cars going down the pit lane like you do in F1, so I think that's what the long wait kind of simulates. But drivers are going to be starting their outlap now. We're kind of at that phase in quali where it's kind of like Q3 in F1. Everyone's in the pits coming out for their outlap. With 3.5 minutes to go, that leaves time for a lap, maybe 2 if they mess up their first attempt.
Yeah, and the grid is really like close again now. Everyone's getting a bit spread out, but now there's a big train with a lot of the top guns in it. But I think Wiggly's leading like the top of the train, so maybe he might drop back. But I'm not sure who'd be willing to go in front of us. I saw some go off there. Tiger, is he waiting for Toussaint?
Possibly. Toussaint's currently... Toussaint's ahead of Tiger at the minute.
He might have had a bit of a moment, but he was in the gravel.
Yeah, it's hard to know as well who's actually on a lap. We've got Wolfie on a lap, who's currently behind Play Dutchy, replacing Webson's tonight. But yeah, something that's it's quite tough, especially if you're in the slipstream train. It's really easy to get distracted, stay on the racing line, and unfortunately get in the way of a few cars on flying laps. Hopefully nothing happens to Wolfie on his lap. He's got Play Dutchy for company just out in head, currently in 9th place for the Irishman replacing Webson's. Let's see what you can do on this lap. His personal best is a 150.1, only 7 tenths behind Finn. Not bad for a replacement.
Yeah, and now I think you might have 2 attempts, but really this is your last chance while your tyres in the best window, and Wiggly is leading the pack, but there's a much bigger train with some top guns in it. He
is 8 tenths up on his time. This could be good for 8th or maybe even 7th place.
Wiggly spun.
Wiggly off at turn 1. It will get just enough time to go back to start another lap. Let's see what Wolfie can do as he rounds to the final corner now. Dutchy improves. Wolfie goes up into 8th place, but Dutchy's only in 5th place. We'll be able to start another lap. 200ths behind Dan Schneider. and maybe this could be the race where the championship takes a little bit of a turn.
You say that, but his two title kind of rivals are in 6th and 7th. So, very jumbled up. So this could lead to a very interesting race. And, yeah, very interesting lap 1. Was it season 1 where Dutchy missed his braking point and took out Tobster?
Yeah, that was season 1.
And turn 1 around this track is quite scary. The whole first sector, the whole first lap. Just lots of room for crashes, errors, just carnage.
It's still going to be about keeping a cool head, trying to navigate your way through the traffic. The Scout down's gone off at the hairpin. He's got engine damage and front suspension and aero damage, so that's going to be his qualifying over. There's not going to be enough time. Someone's gone wide at Spoon. Not sure who that is. It is Finn. I don't know if that's a mistake or if he was on a flying lap. Judging by the 158 on his previous lap, sorry, I think that this might have been a flying lap attempt. I'm trying to find who's going to cross the line first. We're going to go for Dan Schneider, who's 13 seconds down in his time, so won't improve, but he's just going to have enough time to finish this lap, start another one. Let's have a look at Toussaint going through the final chicane. Doesn't look like he's improving, judging by the time and where he is on the track. Actually, no, I'm wrong. He is improving, but it's only good enough for 7th place, 2 tenths behind his teammate at 1:49.1. I don't think Tiger improved either, going across the line and setting a 49.1 in Dan Schneider's slipstream. Let's see what Tim can do. He improves by 3 tenths on his personal best to 48.1. And after making a crucial mistake last season down in the S's on the first lap, he is now putting redemption to that, and has put a time that is set for provisional pole. I cannot speak. Play Dutchy currently moving up into 4th place, 6 tenths behind Tim.
Oh, Wiggly's up by 2 tenths.
Really 2 tenths up on his time, going through the first sector on the super soft tyres, the only one on the super softs. This could be a good lap from him.
He kind of missed the apex bit.
Oh, he's ran wide, and the commentator's curse strikes again, and that was close between him and Bonnie. That was really close.
Anyone else on the lap? Tiger on the lap? Is he going to improve? Really uncharacteristic from Tiger and Toussaint back in 6th and 7th, with Dutchy in 4th. Yeah,
we'll just have to see what their race pace is like. I know in F1, my quali pace was definitely the downside of my F1 seasons, but all the drivers will be on their final laps. It's going to be Toussaint who's going to be the first one to finish off the qualifying session, almost a second off pole. Really unusual. I don't think he's had much practice for this race. Dan Schneider purple through the 3rd sector, currently in 5th place. What can he do on the medium tyres? He's in the beautiful slipstream of Toussaint. How are we going to get a bit of a shocking grid for tonight's race? Toussaint's got a penalty through the final corner and won't improve. What can Dan Schneider do? He's the 10th off pole and goes into 2nd place. Let's have a look at Tiger. Can he improve? He doesn't improve. Bon Evil improves, but it's only good enough to secure 3rd place. Wrigley's in the pits after bailing on his lap, and that will be qualifying over. Actually, these guys won't be able to start. That was the quali over. That was really short. I'm not sure why that ended so soon. I don't think Toussaint set the qualifying limit to 100 seconds.
You're going to have a great time trying to call out the grid here in this 2 seconds.
So here we go. We've got Tim on pole, followed by Dan, Bonnie, Wiggly, Dutchy, Tiger, Toussaint, Wolfie, Finn, Pierre, Aston, Ted, and Dan. That is your grid from 1st to 13th, the quickest I've probably ever done it.
That was quick.
Thank you. Before we get these 5 red lights, let's have a bit of fun information about this track. 5.8 kilometers long, 18 corners, and 131.2 foot elevation. But the lights are counting down, and it's lights out, and away we go. And it's a slow start for Bon Evil. Really good start from Tim on pole position. Wiggly pulls on. Dan Schneider pulls. Wiggly pulls alongside Dan Schneider. Dutchy securing 4th place. Tiger in 5th as well. Wolfie trying to find his way down the inside. Bonnie's gone wide onto the AstroTurf, and that's him round and careering off into the barrier. Unable to save the spin. Tim leads the race, followed by Wiggly and Dan at your top 3. Dutchy's finding his way up into 4th place, fighting with Tiger behind. These two fighting for the championship as well. Toussaint closely behind them. Wolfie's up into 7th place, and a good start from those guys. Unfortunately for Bonnie, no damage I believe, but a lot of time lost at turn 1.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Bonnie. I think he got on the Astro on the outside, and then that just sent him into an uncatchable spin. He had a really slow start off the line, so that is not going to be good. But Wiggly up 2 positions off the start, so that Super's really shown how good they are off the line.
Currently going wheel to wheel with Dan Schneider into the hairpin, securing second place. A little bit loose from Dutchy. He's going to try and find a good run. Hasn't got the best of runs compared to Dan Schneider behind, about a tenth and a half. Separate the two. Thunder's disconnected, unfortunately. Hopefully he can join back. But yeah, really close start here. Tim putting out a 7/10 gap to Wiggly. It's going to be Wiggly's job for his strategy to work. He needs to stay within an 8/10 gap, try and keep up with Tim in this opening stint to try and make those super soft tyres work. But you can see the massive long slipstream train down towards 130R, something that we're going to see for a lot of this race. And this grid is so close. The gap between Ted and Tim is only 5 seconds. That's about half a tenth per driver.
Yeah, sorry, I had to quickly leave because I can't change my camera angle, but now I can't get into the spectator menu.
This grid is so close in this opening lap. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of overtakes. And this was a track that I was debating putting on the calendar this season. I do love this track, and I thought the racing was beautiful last season. But after watching some of the Super GT races, not to be confused with the YouTubers, some of the Japanese series called Super GT, this track actually provides some really good racing, especially in multi-class. So, you know, you can't not put Suzuka back on the calendar. It's such a historic, it's such a brilliant track in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of the drivers' tracks. It's just the most physically demanding in real life, but also the skill needed around this track. It's so twisty, turny. Oh, as
Dodgy's got damage.
Really would just. Oh.
Could this be the twist in the championship that all the viewers were looking for? I thought he was going to hit the back of two Satan there. Dutchy with front bumper and front left suspension damage. That's definitely going to compromise his race as he went a little bit wide through the second Degner. Piero has got a 2/10 penalty. Someone's dropped down. I think Aston's dropped down. Aston's down in 13th place and behind Bon Evil. Not sure what happened to him there. But the front runners are also close. I can spectate first place and see Ted at the back. That's how close this grid is. Will we see team orders down at BHR? Tim's going defensive to his teammate. The two teammates are going to go wheel to wheel. The Scandinavians from Finland and Sweden, and it's Wiggly style around the outside on those super soft tyres. I think that was strategic from Tim, letting Wiggly on the faster tyre go through and carry Tim along. But is Dutchy going to come into the pits with the damage?
Oh, he's so... Oh,
yes, he does.
That's a late dive.
And unlike Tiger, doesn't hit the barrier.
That's I'd say that'd be in the back of his mind going into the actual pits this race, but let's hope he doesn't do a Cryptech and the master plan, let's just put it that way.
Yeah, shout out to Cryptech, crashing in Hungary, bringing out the safety car in the Premier Series a few seasons ago. Someone's ghosted. Not sure if there's been an incident there. I think it was Piero serving his time penalty. But Tim's now under a little bit of pressure from Dan Schneider, who's got a lot of pace in this race. Now, don't count out Dutchy in this race. Oh, that's Aston round at the back. Sorry, everything seems to be every time I spectate someone, they seem to crash. That kind of came a bit too casual. But Dutchy on the soft compound tyres, we saw him do it in Alsace, pitting on lap 1. He came back and was fighting for the win before he decided to throw it away. Send one at the final corner and find himself in the barrier. But nevertheless, Dutchy likes a good comeback drive. Let's see what he can do here with 30 laps to go, or just under 30 laps, sorry. As a lap spin, sending one down the inside of Wolfie. That's a late send, finding his way up into 6th place. No, he's not in the Nissan, I don't think. Was in the Nissan Honda last season, sorry. I think we've only got Nissans in this group.
I think I vaguely remember one person being in the Lexus. Was it?
I think it was Webson's in the Lexus. Webson's or Manuel. I think one of those two were in the Lexus. I think everyone else though has opted to go for the Nissan.
And Wolfie is close to Finn again after being overtaken. He might look for one into the chicane. He might be that bit too far back. Finn's gone a little bit wide. Oh, he gets on the Astro.
Not quite close enough to go for a move. One of the main overtaking opportunities around this track. Not many in the first sector unless you're pretty much alongside. Looking back out front, Wrigley still leads Tim by 5/10, but that gap coming down in the slipstream. This could give Tim a good opportunity to start saving fuel and have a shorter pit stop when it comes to his stint. That's what 2 Cent and Tiger might be doing as well. Currently running in 4th and 5th. Piero getting the move down and Wolfie down the inside in towards turn 1. makes his way up into 7th place. Ted only 3.5 seconds behind him. That's Bonnie and Dan going wheel to wheel through turn 1. Bonnie to get in the jump up into 10th place. Aston currently in 12th place is 6 seconds behind and is under pressure from Play Dutchy going into the first sector.
Yeah, very interesting race. We got a lot of teammates beside each other, and it's amazing how they work together. But the top 5 really close together. Tim nearly pushing Wiggly through the corners. He also needs to be careful that he doesn't let Dan Snyder through.
Sorry, Dutchy around the outside of Aston to turn 7. I think a little mistake from Aston kind of forced him to let Dutchy go.
Bonnie, what's...
Oh yeah, Bonnie's now dropped behind Aston. Not sure what happened there. Did you see what happened?
I think he had a little off and then he just let those two through. He didn't want to get in their way. Very odd.
It's not been the best opening to a race from Bon Evil. I'd say unluck. I'm not sure really what happened last season. I was too busy driving that season to know what happened, but I know Bonnie definitely didn't have the best of races this time last season at Suzuka. But the front runners, the front 5, really closely contested here. Only 2.5 seconds separating Wrigley and Tiger, being about 2 seconds behind after his battle with Wolfie. But other than that, the guys at the back are the ones who've made their own individual mistakes, and they're still fighting away for position as well. Bonnie now up into 12th place and will be hunting down Aston for 11th.
Yeah, did Dan make a mistake? Because he went down the grid quite quick. I think he was in 10th at one stage.
Yeah, I think Dan went wide at turn 1. I think picks up a 1 second penalty as well through the final chicane, but a few people have lost it at turn 1. Here goes Bonnie Evil trying to look for the move on Aston. I think Aston could be saving fuel there because that looked a little bit too easy, and that promotes Bonnie up into 11th place and 3.4 seconds behind his teammate Play Dutchy. Not a good day in the office for those guys. And speaking of Dutchy, has got his way past Wolfie. What happened there? I think it looks like Wolfie's running a bit slow. Of course the replay feature's not working, because why would it work, game? Tim's actually back up into the lead of the race, and Dan Schneider's now putting Wiggly under pressure. Sorry, we haven't seen this, but Wiggly's going to have the inside defensive line in towards the hairpin. Can Dan try and hold one around the outside? They're going to go wheel to wheel on exit. Who's going to get this one into Spoon? It's going to be the outside line for Wiggly, but when we get to Spoon, it's going to be the inside line. I think Wiggly could be saving a bit of fuel, and Tim's off. What happened there?
He touched the grass.
That's what I done last season. That's exactly what I done last season. I can't even get a replay feature because it's not even working. That promotes Dan Schneider up into the lead of the race. But and what's happening to Tim this season?
Wiggly's all over the back, and Dan Schneider going into 130. Are they going to go side by side? Oh no.
It just seems to be whenever Tim's having a good race, he seems to throw it away, but Wiggly down the inside into 130R, promotes himself up into the lead of the race, will be defensive into the final few corners.
He's gone deep.
Gone a little bit deep. Dan Schneider's going to try the old switcheroo and get a good run, but he's under pressure from Toussaint as well, who's now up into 3rd place. Tim has dropped down to 7th.
Oh, I was watching Wiggly and I just saw him tap the grass, a bit of dirt fly up. Oh, Tim just can't get a break.
He had such a good start in Alsace, and similar events are occurring this week. Now down to 8 seconds behind Wiggly. Who knows, if he can have as good as comeback drive as Dutchy, he might find himself back up there.
The top 4, so close.
Someone's off at turn 1,
seconds.
It's Ted. Sorry to interrupt you there, but you can see the tyre marks in the gravel. I saw the dot on the map, and that's Ted now down to 9th place.
Drivers everywhere are making mistakes. Before Tim spun, I was about to say it's going to be very interesting to see how long Wiggly can go into the race. It might give some drivers some good information how far the super softs can go, because I don't know, but his tyre wear doesn't look that bad compared to the others. If I'm like, it's a bit more, but
yeah, I mean, for the super soft tyres, for obviously the softest compounder tyre available, the one that degrades the quickest, it's not doing too bad compared to the mediums. You'd say though, compared to Toussaint's mediums, who look a lot fresher as compared to Dan Schneider's. Obviously the tyre wear will be kicking in the next couple of laps, but hopefully for Tim's race he can find himself back up in this top fight, because he definitely deserves it. He has the pace. He's shown it in Alsace. He's shown it in the Nürburgring last season. And it's just unfortunate that he made that mistake. Dutchy makes his way up into 8th place now after Ted's earlier mistake. Him and Wolfie will be battling now for 9th place. Piero and Tim now going wheel to wheel. Tim really going for it now, up into 6th place. Has closed down that 3-second gap and has now got 4.5 seconds to Finn.
Dan Snyder's going to be making a move now. He's under a tenth of a second. He's going to go to the outside. Oh, is there a bit of contact there?
Not sure, but there's contact there, definitely. Down someone wide. 2 seconds going to send one down the inside and capitalise on it. And here goes Wiggley. He's going to try the switchback move. But in all of that shenanigans, 2 seconds up into the lead. Tiger's got past Wiggly, who's lost 2 positions. Down's now into 5th place, and Finn's gone past. And now will be vulnerable to Tim behind. What happened there?
I think Wiggly and Dan were going side by side. Wiggly pushes Dan a little bit out to the Astro and he has to back out so he doesn't spin, and then he bumps in, and then the door is open for the 2 BCMR boys like a box of chocolates at Christmas.
Yeah, and that could be an indication of Wiggly's super soft tyre starting to go off, despite the red bars you can see in the bottom left only showing about 15-20% of wear. But it's obviously accurate what their tyre wear is, but how it feels to drive. Obviously this is a very technical track and requires a lot of grip, and I mean the undercut is super powerful that I found last season. I think I went from 7th to 2nd in doing the undercut. Wiggly's gone wide through Spoon, and that's going to cost him time, and I think those super soft tyres after 7 laps have started to gone off the cliff a bit. And it now leaves the 2 BCMR drivers battling for the win in this race. Are we going to see a fight here, or are we going to see some bump drafting and fuel saving? I think option B is what we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, I just love Toussaint and Tiger are so in sync with each other. They're always on track together. Their tyre wear is identical. I don't know how they do it, but wherever one of them goes, they both go. It's quite incredible how in sync they are. And Wiggly pits.
So we're going to get into the pits. It'd be interesting to see what tyre he goes for. I'm going to guess he's going to go for the medium tyres and go for a long middle stint. Meanwhile, Dutchy's caught up to the back of Piero, sets a new fastest lap of the race, 1/10 quicker than his previous best, so 1:48.1. I don't think it's close enough to go for a move in towards turn 1, but it's definitely closed down that gap, and it's only 12 seconds behind the leaders. As actually, Dutchy's just sent one down the inside. Piero's gone wide, up into 6th place for the Dutchman.
Yeah, Dutchy really showing his class here, and he went to the medium, so he's on a... Yeah, he did... Oh no, he's on the softs. So I wonder what strategy he's going to go for. Is he going to try and do a super stint on this, and then go to the super? Surely he can't get to the end of that. So it's going to be very interesting. Oh! Snyder spun.
Dan Snyder is now down to 7th place in the gravel, doing 40 miles per hour. This track is having no prisoners.
Wiggly has bumped Ted into the gravel.
That's Ted off. Down at turn 7. It's all kicking off here in this race.
He nearly takes out Dan, but I think Wiggly, he's getting all over the shop at the back of the grid here. Everyone tripping over each other.
It's really happening all over the grid. We had incidents out front, in the middle. Dutchy's now up into 5th place, only 2.5 seconds behind him. But yeah, lots of drivers not really finding a rhythm here, getting involved in quite a few incidents, costing them time.
Wiggly looking for a move now and going to the spoon. Will he dive it? No. He might wait for 130R, but Wolfie's gone a bit wide, and that's just opened the door for Wiggly.
Oh, and that's Wolfie off, and that's going to be damage. He's kept out of the barrier though, the gravel trap doing its job. And I think it's fair to say now half the grid have made mistakes around this track.
Yeah, as obviously once tyre wear goes up, grip goes down, you can't lean in your tyres as much. It's so much easier to make mistakes, but people are making mistakes around this track, and usually if you spin, you are in the barrier.
Yeah, we talked about how the quali grids was going to set up for a good race, but it's the top 5 who have found themselves in their usual regions. It's we would say, based on the previous results. But all the guys who had such a promising quali time, such as Dan Snyder, and Dan Snyder has actually gone wide at turn 1, are stuck on that AstroTurf. It seems that's going to allow Wiggly to go through. Has opted to go for a cutting the grass sort of tactic. This is the biggest corner cut you, ladies and gentlemen, are ever going to see in your life. I think he's spending more time on the grass here than he's on the track.
Always Dan's in the gravel again.
And he's completely ignored turn 2 and 3. and has lost a huge lump of time by taking that route.
Dan Schneider's race has gone from good to bad to worse. He was challenging for pole, remember, and just shows how this track is just punishing.
Top three from quali have all made their own individual mistakes. Tim, though, is only in fourth. He's only 7.5 seconds off the leader. A little bit loosey-goosey on the rear. Might try and undercut on the guys in front, because it definitely could be worth it if Tiger and Toussaint are going to bump draft and fuel save with one another.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because Tiger hasn't really saved that much fuel if you're looking at it compared to Toussaint. But I think they might be both be fuel saving, because if you look at Tiger's fuel compared to Finn's fuel, Tiger has a lot more fuel than Finn.
Dutchy is now past Attengren, up into fourth place for the Dutchman, and maybe for Tim's race he can try and just slipstream behind Play Dutchy. We know Dutchy definitely has a lot of pace in these leagues. He's won the first 3 races of the season. First 3 races? Yeah, first 3 races of the season. Finished third, I think, in Alsace. Definitely opening up the championship a little bit. 11 points separating the guys out in front.
Yeah, and I'd say Dutchy might have to go into the pits, and if he depends. We saw Wiggly, the tyres just fell off the cliff out of nowhere. So I know he was on the super softs, but Dutchy just has to be careful. And I think around this track, as soon as you lose confidence in your tyres, you have to pit, or lots of mistakes will come.
Yeah, definitely. Tim making a little bit of a mistake there through the second Degner. Apologies. The gap's actually 21 seconds for 21 points between Dutchy and Tiger in the championship, and that's Dan Schneider disconnecting from the lobby.
Bonnie pushing Aston to the corner. There's a little bit of contact made.
Aston goes defensive in towards the hairpin. You can hear the tyres screaming from Bonnie's Nissan, but I don't think he's close enough to go for a move into Spoon. Maybe 130R might be the best overtaking opportunity for him.
He's going to go in here,
yeah, going into Spoon. The door was kind of there for Bonnie.
What a move.
Now up into 8th place in this race.
Lovely move.
Meanwhile, Mr. Lord Team Orders out in front, Toussaint and Tiger. Fuel saving and slipstreaming, bump drafting as well to try and extend their lead to the guys behind. Dutchy only 2.8 seconds behind Finn. I think he might have made a mistake, because the gap's now come down to Tim behind. Could just be Tim's pace on those mediums compared to Dutchy's worn softs. And those softs are about the same wear as Tim's, but obviously being the soft tyre, they're going to have not as much grip, being more worn than Tim's mediums. It's going to be interesting to see if Tim can keep up with Dutchy. The gap's kind of opening up a bit to 9 tenths to a second now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting race. As always, these races always come down to the last lap when team orders go out the window, and most of the races have gone down to the last lap, and it's always 2 tenths or a tenth between the drivers. But this race, you don't really have the slipstream train that usually forms. The grid's a lot further spread out.
Yeah, I think we're going to have one though next week, but not next week, the week after. We have a break week next week, but the week after that is definitely been a track that most of the drivers, I'd probably say all of the drivers to be fair, but 90% of the drivers have questioned about. Willow Springs Big Willow is up next for round 6 in Group 4. And, well, we're going to find out. Why? Because it provides good racing, and these guys are going to prove it.
Yeah, and then Wednesday we have a couple of wet races, don't we?
Yeah, the week after will actually be the first wet race of the season in the Red Bull Ring. I was trying to say Austria and the Red Bull Ring. I started by going R, and then obviously you can't say, you can't kind of flow an R to an R, or you can't really say Red Bull Ring in Austria at the same time. You can't really make that flow, but Dutchy's kind of found the flow in this race, as he's now 4 tenths. See that smooth transition behind Finn there, as he's trying to gain onto the back of Tiger and Toussaint, who we've definitely seen Play Dutchy well, we'll be seeing Plain Dutch in their mirrors fairly shortly. The gap now 3.5 seconds. Tim is close. The gap to the leaders to 5.6. But in the meantime, the front two have been able to save fuel.
Yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing race because Dutchy is basically on par now with Tiger as he's going to go around the outside into Degna 1. This could be a car crash or an airplane crash, but he backs out. Obviously, be a car crash if two cars crash, like.
Thankfully, it's not. I'm sure some of the other drivers in this championship fight were going to be hoping that did end up in an incident. Obviously, this is virtual, so it's kind of not fussed how big the crash is, unless it's on purpose. Then it's kind of changes the scenario a bit. But Dutchy is definitely on fire. I mean, I said it at the start. I think he's going to do the same strat he did in Alsace. Wait for all the guys to pit from their medium tyres and then pit for another set of soft tyres and be on the soft tyres on the end. How he does it, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, that's one thing in my driving. My tyre wear is always atrocious. In my mind, every lap's a quali lap, and that probably isn't
Same
very
here.
good.
Same theory. Every lap's a quali lap.
Oh! Dan nearly killing himself in the barrier. That was very close. And allowed Wolf to go through.
Current battle for 10th place between Wolfie and Dan. And we've got 10th place to a 12th. 3 drivers in the Group B Championship. Dutchy's up into 3rd place, mainly because Finn is into the pits.
This is... I don't know how Dutchy does it. It must be all those beers he drinks, or I don't know.
We do not condone drink driving in this league. But
he's closing the gap to Toussaint though, as Tiger overtook Toussaint there, I think, to let Toussaint save a bit of fuel, I think.
Yeah, Toussaint's got a pixel less fuel, but I'm looking at the gaps.
Dutchy's catching them rapidly.
Finn's 30 seconds behind the lead. I'm going to put money. I'm not gambling. I don't condone gambling. Finn is going to undercut the leaders here. My prediction.
Say so.
I think he's going to come out in the lead of this race, because if you look at Wiggly Style, who's on the medium tyres, he's 21.5 seconds behind the leaders after his incident. He's been on those tyres for a fair few laps, I think 4 or 5 laps now. So Wiggly's going to be promoted to the lead of the race, definitely. But if Finn has a really good outlap, he's got a bit of traffic, but I think he could be in the lead of this race here. The undercut is super, super powerful. You can be on fresher tyres and put less fuel in.
Dutchy has just gained 1.5 seconds from Toussaint in the first 2 sectors, and Tim is catching up to Dutchy. And all of a sudden, we've nearly a 5-way fight for the lead with Finn when they pit. So the VCMR boys really have to react quick.
I wonder if we're going to see them into the pits this lap. But while you were speaking there, Finn was able to send one down the inside of the hairpin, get his way up into 2nd place. Is Tim and Tiger going to react?
Toussaint.
Yes, yeah, sorry, Tiger and Toussaint, sorry. Dutchy does exactly what I thought he would, come into the pits. Tim decides to stay out on those medium tyres, and might be a bad... not sure, we'll see how it goes for him. We'll have to see how it goes.
Look at Bonnie's tyres, they're dead.
Under pressure from Finn now. Look how much time he's gaining. This is going to be close. I'm going to keep on board with Finn whilst looking at the minimap. He's pushing Bonnie through the corners. Bonnie stays out. I reckon this is team orders to try and keep Finn at bay here. But it says he's ahead, but they haven't come out the pits. I'm going to ride on boards. You can see them on the right-hand side. Here they go. This is going to be so close. Is he going to get Tiger around the outside of Bonnie? And Finn, just like I predicted, is in the lead of the Suzuka Grand Prix. Finds himself leading.
Dutchy has jumped Toussaint in the pits.
Dutchy's putting a lot less fuel. Look how much less fuel he's got in the car. And to all the viewers watching, you can rewind the stream. I want my money.
You didn't put the odds on, and
all of it. All of it.
Yeah. We don't
It'll be V-Bucks then.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Or credit GT Sport
credits. But based on the
Tiger nearly went into the barrier there.
Based on the assumption that a pit stop is 31 seconds long, but more than 30 seconds, as Finn came out in the lead here. Tim's gonna come out behind Bonnie by about behind
5
Toussaint by about 5 seconds, yeah, because Bonnie's going to be into the pits this lap without a shadow of a doubt. And this has definitely changed up the grid a bit. What tyre did Finn go onto? Soft tyres. Okay, so everyone's on the same tyre. Dutchy, like I suspected, went onto the soft tyres, like he did in the Alsace race. Tim's into the
Bonnie
pits.
could run out of fuel.
But it's incredible how Dutchy can make 2 stops in 14 laps and already be back up with the leaders.
I don't know how he does it, because he's battling for the lead now.
I think
it's going to get very interesting.
We're going to have to enforce a rule where Dutchy can only use the hard compound tyre. But he's currently in 4th place. Tim and Bonnie into the pits. Where's Tim going to come out? He's leaving the pit lane now. He is quite the far back behind, but will be on the fresher tyres and has a lot more fuel. Speaking of drivers with fuel, Wiggly Style has got about 25%.
Yeah, it's very interesting because he's on the mediums. So I don't know how many laps this race. We're about halfway now. So, and if he only has probably about 6 laps left, can you do about 10 laps in the softs? I'd say you can.
Yeah, I mean, if the mediums are going off after 7 laps, it's definitely going to be a push. Maybe we might see a 3-stop in this race. But Toussaint's now putting Dutchy under pressure going into the hairpin. Not close enough to go for a move though. Thought he might have done. Dutchy has got a lot less fuel than Toussaint, but they're all going to be saving up until the final stint. Hopefully these guys battle in order for Tim to catch up. They're 4.9 seconds behind. Could get interesting towards the end of this race.
It will. All these races, I'd say we'll only really know after the last pit stops where everyone is and with fuel wise. I'm still the Dutchy and Finn. Like, Finn has a lot less fuel than Toussaint, Dutchy and Toussaint. So it's going to be quite interesting how this works out. And they are catching Wiggly at around 6/10 lap, because obviously he's gone very deep.
Yeah, the gap 3.6 now down to 2.3. There's mistakes crawling in here. Not the first driver to make mistakes, and not the first time he's made a mistake. I think Aston served a penalty. He's currently ghosting, going through Spoon. These guys running really closely through the middle sector. But it looks like Wiggly is gonna have to stretch the super soft tyres to the end if he wants to continue on a 2-stop. Because he started... Oh yeah, sorry, he started on the super soft, so he will be able to go for the soft tyres. Whether they can do, judging by the fuel, 12 laps. I mean, it should be possible. I don't know. I was going to say you've probably been practicing for the race, but you would be racing. Do you know how much a full tank is?
I think it was 16. I could be wrong. That was on Monday when I could get into my seat.
I mean, if it is 16, it is enough to go to the end.
Be tight. That's what she said.
But oh dear. But the gap out front, moving on from that, has calmed down quite significantly. Now 5/10, and Finn's actually pulling a little bit of a gap to Tiger now. The gap 1 second. Finn's going to want to try and pull out the slipstream if he can, try and get that gap just a little bit higher. Looks like he's turning the engine up a bit, because now here he goes. He's going to be looking for a move on the Swedish driver, Wiggly Style in front. Nissan versus Nissan. Which Japanese car is going to come out on top? It looks like Finn doesn't have the straight line speed, surprisingly. Might be trying to save it for the hairpin, actually. Could be running in a lower engine mode compared to Wiggly Style in the lead. Isn't actually going to go for a move, so could be saving fuel, could be biding his time here in this race.
I think he needs to get by ASAP. Wiggly goes into the pits. Very interesting.
Okay, I thought he would have stayed out for a little bit longer. Might have stayed, or if he got overtaken, might have tried to have stayed within the leaders. Not sure if Tim's made a mistake, but he's now 12 seconds behind. I didn't catch the gap when he did come out the pits, but I don't think it was that high.
Yeah, he was 5 seconds.
Yeah, looking at his lap time, 1:56 on his last lap.
Must have had a bit of enough.
Must have made a mistake there.
Oh, the commentator's curse, he's just spun around. Oh my god.
It happened twice last week, and it's happened twice again this week. The commentator's curse is strike again. and I can't do this anymore. I genuinely can't do this.
We're sorry.
Dutchy is having a really good job. It worked last week, so might try it again this week.
Do we want Dutchy to crash? He's doing a stellar job.
Amazing job from Dutchy, making his way through the field. It worked in our south. Maybe it'll work here again. But really unfortunate for Tim.
Yeah, I was looking at his lap times there. I think he had 3 offs because he did a lap time of 2:22. Unless that was when he was in the pit.
I think that was his pit stop lap. Yeah, I think it was.
It probably was. He wouldn't be.
Yeah, all these guys are pitted on lap 13, and Tim stayed out for the extra lap. But the gap out front, first to fourth is now 1.7 seconds. It's a 4-way fight for the lead.
I wonder, will any of them make a move and just bomb it, or are they all going to sit behind and make this really boring for us, and then make the last lap really exciting for us?
I guess we're about to find out. As well, it's going to be another question: who's going to win the race? Who's going to be the next one to be fallen victim to the commentator's curse? It happened so many times in our SAS, too many times to the point where I just didn't compliment anyone anymore. But it's happened again. Dan Schneider in the chat, disappointed with himself, I think it's fair to say the least. Really unfortunate from him tonight. It was looking so good, but he's not the only one to make the mistakes.
As Dan is really close to Wolfie, there might be a move going into turn 1 to come out of the final chicane. But then Ted is really close to them, so we might have the Group B Championship taster for tomorrow.
Yeah, a little bit of a trailer, almost like a spoiler alert here. Yellow flag, someone's off into turn 1. That's Bonnie Evil with the rear damage in the barrier. You can see the trails behind as he slowly makes his way to the back of the grid. Will rejoin behind the Scout Dan, and for the second season in a row, it's not been a good job from Bonnie Evil, making mistakes. Not the only driver to make a mistake. So many drivers have made mistakes here, and hopefully we don't see one tonight, well, for the rest of the race, for this battle for 9th place.
Wolfie nearly T-boned Ted, but they're really close, and that's the name Dan. We're having the 3-way battle. As Ted goes, I thought he went a little bit wide there, but he keeps on track. But this is going to be very close. Ted is all under pressure here from Wolfie and Dan. That might involve Bonnie, but he does have damage.
Here we go. Send from Wolfie. Ted might try the switchback. Teammates in the Group B Championship, and not teammates here tonight. 2 drivers replacing 2 drivers who couldn't be here. It's alright, Dad. We all make mistakes. You can use it tonight to bounce back for 2 weeks for 2 weeks time for the race in Group 4. And that's Dan, the other Dan, drifting it through the entry of Spoon. We got 2 Dans in this one. We had Dan Schneider and Dan the Scout Dan. But this is promising. Good looking for a nice battle here between that for 9th place. We've also got the leaders battling away. As Tiger's dropping off a little bit to Finn. Dutch is actually purple through the first sector, and that's Bonnie disconnecting from the room. And actually, I think that's the first time I've actually called it the room and not the lobby. I don't know what's.
You're transformed from F1.
I've kind of just zoned out and saw it in the bottom left.
Ted is all over Wolfie. They're going into turn 1.
Here we go. You can see Ted was behind, no longer behind, is alongside going into turn 1. Where's he going to be on the exit of turn 1? We'll have to wait and see. There's friendly nudges between the 2. They're still wheel to wheel, and that's probably the cleanest though we've seen between turn 1 and 2. But now Dan's going to try and send one to the inside. There's a little bit of argy-bargy between them 2 going into the start of the SS section, but Ted is able to maintain 10th place for now. Only just though, as Dan was putting him under pressure.
Yeah, that was very, very close. Now Ted's all out of shape. Will Dan make one into Dagna 1? No, he backs out.
Yeah, you've really got to be alongside to go for a move there.
Oh, Ted goes really wide. That's going to let Dan have a good look into the hairpin and maybe into Spoon. Ted goes defensive.
You can see there, looking at the rear wing of Ted. Dan's able to, Ted's able to keep Dan behind just for now. But our closest battles on track, that battle for 9th, we still got this battle for the lead between Finn, Tiger, Dutchy and Toussaint respectively in that order. Looking down the rest of the grid, Tim getting ahead of Aston there for 7th place. He's on another recovery drive. If he can gain 40 seconds, it'd be a miracle if he wins this race. But unlike F1, no safety car. I did question the idea of having a manual safety car like we used to have in the Assetto Corsa League. But I just thought with lack of communication it'd get a bit messy, trying to decide when a safety car would be brought out. Someone to actually drive the safety car. We've only got 16 spaces in the lobby. 14 for drivers, 2 for commentators.
Dan in the gravel trap.
That's Dan around the final corner. And it's now dropped. It's going to drop behind Ted. So he seems to complement a battle, and then it starts to deteriorate. So once again,
maybe we just shouldn't commentate.
Yeah, should we just have a minute's silence for all the drivers who have unfortunately fallen victim to the commentary? But I don't think the viewers are going to enjoy that as much, as we have a battle for the lead continuing on. We always seem to have a battle for the lead in this league. I think it was Lago Maggiore was the only one where Dutchy really was able to pull away.
A bit off topic, but you're the GT Sport guy. In Gran Turismo 7, or 8 or whatever the next one is there any talk about like safety cars or anything? Or dynamic weather or...
You bring that up. Dynamic weather or customizable weather, I think, is an option. If you guys haven't seen, they've released a new GT7 trailer for the game coming. It's supposed to be launched on the 4th of March 2022, but they did say they aim to launch it on that date, which is kind of... It's not really encouraging. It kind of implies that they're going to... what's the word? Stall it for a little bit, delay it for a little bit longer than that. Pierre's into the pits from the soft compound tyres. But in the trailer, spoiler alert, so if you're watching this not live, I'd skip a minute, they do show Le Mans at night in the wet, which does imply you can do a track at wet. You can also do to scuba in the wet.
Hopefully you can do every track in the wet.
I think that's what you can do, to be honest. They also have... The reason I think dynamic weather is a thing, before I touch upon that, Pierre pitting for the super soft tyres, comes out in 8th place, 5 seconds behind Aston. In the bottom left... Really good. Oh yeah, he's up into 7th place actually.
Because he was battling for last at one stage, making mistakes, but I think he's net P8, which is really good for my teammate. Good
points in the bag. But going back onto the GT7 trailer, they had the video of someone driving in the wet, and in the bottom left it said 100% rain. Now, like where you can see the timer and the tyres, in that gap there in the bottom left, in that gap was 100% wet, which for me implies it could be dynamic weather, and that could show the percentage of rain, how heavy the rain is. If it's 50% it could be light rain, if it's like 3% it could be, I don't know, cloudy, 10%, 15% might be damp. I'm really looking forward to it. We're definitely going to try and get a league started. Possibly, I would say June is a fair time to start. Gives people 3 months to learn the game, get the credits, get the game.
Is it out in PS4? Because I think initially it was only out in PS5.
Yeah, initially it was PS5 only. But the trailer's confirmed it will be available to purchase on PS4 and PS5, as Dan has disconnected.
Who should I have chosen for my replacement? Currently I should have chosen Mulphy.
And yeah, Thunder in the commentary box. Dan out the race. Won't be scoring any points. It's now down to Aston, running in 7th place, but only 10 drivers here tonight. And yeah, Finn's probably going to have to pit. He's got the fuel lights on. However, he's got a good gap to the leaders. But this is where strategy kind of it kind of messes with your head, because Finn's going to pit for 8 laps of fuel, which means Tiger and Toussaint, Dutchy and all, they're going to stay out, do more laps on worn softs. But when they pit on around lap 25, I'd say, they're going to put in less fuel, because there's less laps to the end. Whereas in the first stint, the later you pit, the more fuel you've got to put in, because there's more laps to go. Yeah. It really depends where you want to be fastest in the race.
And realistically, you only want to be fast in the last lap and leading on the last lap. But it's going to be very interesting because Finn, does he just go out and just ruin the tyres in the first 5 laps and then defend?
See, we saw how powerful the undercut was. So on those fresh super soft tyres, he does come into the pits, doesn't crash like Tiger done in qualifying, but it's gonna be interesting to see where he comes out, because he's gonna have to put in 8 laps of fuel, 23 to 31, 9 including the final lap. But these guys staying out, they're going to do more laps on worn tyres, but the more laps they do now, the less fuel they're going to have to put in. So it's really going to be close between tyre wear and how much fuel these guys have to put in the tank. The battle for 9th place has kind of died down a little bit. Wolfie's made a mistake, because now Ted's up into 9th place on extremely worn soft compound tyres. Might be into the pits at the end of this lap.
As Aston's really close to Piero, but he hasn't pit. I think Piero was just carving through the field again. Yeah,
Piero, on those super soft tyres, is only 4 tenths behind Play Dutchy's fastest lap. So FGR Finn, not as catchy as iFinn, but he could be in contention of... No, I'm not going to... No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, because the last time I said it, he crashed at Lago Maggiore, and I almost cried, because he was it was an Italian-themed Ferrari in Group 3 with the Italian flag, red, white and green, and he span just as I complimented, and I cried. So I'm not saying anything. Sorry, Finn, if you're watching this back. I know you want the screen time, probably, but for the sake of your race, just bear with me. Hang on a minute.
Though, the make or break of his race will be how quick he gets by Wiggly.
I was just going to say Wiggly could be in a chance to win this race, and then I looked at his fuel.
Oh, did he forget to put enough in?
I don't know. I think he might have intended to do the aggressive stop. I don't know how long it takes for the drivers to get into the pits. We might find out here with Tiger. No, we're not. But we are going to find out with Dutchy, who's going to pull the trigger early. Toussaint and Dutchy leaving Tiger out to dry. I'm sure the undercut's going to be powerful. Toussaint with a lot more fuel might be able to jump the Dutchman. This could be a very interesting race for the championship if Dutchy finishes this race in 4th place. But all of our eyes, for now, are on Finn.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But Toussaint's in the pit as well, so who's going to make first?
Breathe. Breathe. Here they go. You can see them on the right hand side.
Toussaint.
And they've got ahead of him. Finn's going to send one down the inside into turn 1. But here we go then, the fight for the lead. Finn's now into 4th place on those soft tyres. Everyone's putting the same amount of fuel.
Tiger's going to be in such risk of an undercut now. Unless he's going to go long for the overcut, but he's not in that safe zone. So...
I mean, we said 31 seconds for a full tank, but the gap is coming down at a rapid rate of knots as Finn is purple through the first sector. Tim's in and out of the pits for a set for super soft tyres down to 8th place. He'll be trying to gain the time to Aston, who still needs to come into the pits, will be into the pits this lap, doesn't have enough fuel. But look at the gap to Tiger. It's come down a second in the last 4 corners. I fear that Tiger's going to come out in 4th place here.
I feel like Tiger got a little bit unlucky with the was he meant to pit that lap with Toussaint?
I don't think he was expecting the guys around him to undercut him. It's almost like a stab in the back really from his own teammate. Obviously we have teammates in this league, a thing I implemented for season 2, but that you don't have to share the same box. If they want, all the drivers can pit at the same time, and it's Tiger Assassin.
He didn't crash.
Again. But Dutchy now trying to put Toussaint under a bit of pressure, going into the final chicane. Where is Tiger Racing going to come out in all of this? I've used it. I've used all the keywords that we were talking about before stream. Loosey Goosey makes the return. But here goes Dutchy now down the start finish straight. I'm going to ride on board just so we can see if Tiger appears on the right hand side. There he is. But look at the closing speed. This is going to be so close. Where's Finn? Finn is behind. Tiger's in 3rd place, maintains a podium position, but for now.
This is going to be a hell of last 6 laps. Finn, the real loser in these last pit stops, but realistically he could be lucky that he isn't further behind after he didn't have enough fuel. And they're all identical of fuel. And every man for himself. Did the team orders go out the window? Dutchy in
Wow.
BCMR sandwich, and yeah, it's going to be pretty tight. I won't say anything else.
Definitely. Yeah, just definitely, just in case. But the front four are definitely going to be the main event at the end of this race. So ladies and gentlemen, strap yourselves in, because we're going to have an enthralling fight for the end. A few Wiggly and Aston coming into the pits for tyres and fuel. Aston coming out just behind his teammate. I don't know if we're going to see team orders for the championship. The two teammates were battling earlier. Doesn't look like they want to risk anything in their championship fight. So I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here? I'm going to predict, bold statement from me, that Tiger's going to win this race.
Okay,
That's going to be my prediction.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
Dutchy and Toussaint going side by side into 130R. Dutchy on the outside. Oh, he touched the grass. Oh, that was a move. And a half by Dutchy, making the first moves in this last showdown.
Dutchy makes it move down up into the lead of the race. Can Toussaint fight this one back though? For the championship's sake, we don't want Dutchy extending his lead out in front. He's already on 114 points. Sorry, 93 for Tiger, 85 for Toussaint, and Piero is into the pits from a set of super soft tyres. Might try and go for fastest lap as well in the end, but with 5 laps to go and overtaking opportunities limited, it's going to be interesting to see who wins this race.
Piero
and if,
again.
Yeah, I think Piero might be going for fastest lap here. He's got Wiggly and Tim going down the start finish straight. We might see him move for 5th place here. The two BHR teammates, Tim behind, has made 2 mistakes in this race. Wiggly as well making a few himself, but the two Scandinavians going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1. They're no longer wheel to wheel, as it's the finished one who makes his way up into 5th place.
Not gonna lie, Finn just doesn't seem to have as much pace in these super softs. Just is kind of a second behind, not able to get right behind the bumper. So I'm not sure, but he's hands all over the back of Dutchy again.
It's still,
this could get interesting.
yeah, it's still all up to play for here. We saw the mistakes made earlier on in the race. Finn actually has the fastest lap, but that could change if Dutchy or Toussaint are improving on their runs here. Extra points awarded for the fastest lap. Toussaint has got quite a beautiful beautiful exit, good slipstream. You can see is now alongside the Dutchman. 2 Nissans fighting away. There's contact going into 130R. Tiger's going to capitalise. There's a lot of contact. Toussaint's off, and he's carried off his teammate. It's Prost and Senna all over again. Biblical scenes, and Finn's now up into 2nd place. Oh my goodness me! They've got damage. Tim's going to be promoted onto the 4th place. There's going to be some angry words in the party there, but Toussaint forced off by Dutchy. Uncontrollable, careered into the side of his teammate. Oh, honestly, what a beautiful incident.
But the thing is, I think Tiger went for a gap that just wasn't there. He has to go for it. But oh my god, it was just It's like, it was almost like Verstappen Hamilton at Monza, except he didn't take air. Toussaint being pushed out wide. I think because of the contact, it slowed him and Dutchy down so much that Tiger was able to slot through the middle of them. I don't think Toussaint was expecting him. Then Toussaint was off into the grass, into the gravel, and uncontrollably careered off, T-boning the side of Tiger's green and black Nissan, both ending off into the wall. It's a more dramatic version of Prost and Senna, but it's kind of what the viewers want to see. So thank you for the drama, but hugely unfortunate for those two, and I'm sure there's going to be a few words in the debrief after. Tim's now up into 4th place, Tiger drops to 4th, Toussaint's 5 seconds off the podium, off the 2nd place man Finn. I'm more thinking, if there's a stewards inquiry, Dutchy, Toussaint and Tiger are all the stewards in Gavra.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have to find one of the other stewards. I think Cash Daniel Shanks, the 2 other stewards. I think a lot of new stewards have been appointed this season, so it's going to be quite interesting to see their verdicts on Crash. Cryptek is definitely enjoying it in the chat. So is Jordi. Lovely to see. This is amazing. He's watching it on stream and it was so funny. Glad the viewers are enjoying it. That's what we're here to do. We're here to provide entertainment for the viewers at home.
Was there voice chat on? If so, what were they saying? Because was it Monza Group 3 Season 1?
Monza
Season
Group
2, I think?
3 all over again. Season 1.
Oh my god, that just shows you run a risk when you're running so close together for the whole race. Just things like that are gonna happen.
And you said at the beginning, they seem to be matching each other, they're always together on track. This time, they were a bit too close. And
But Tiger's gonna mic at Tim. Tiger's catching Tim a lot. He's angry.
yeah, with this 4 laps to go, including the final one, it's definitely he's gonna have to gain 5/10 a lap to be behind him. Maybe about a second to go for an overtake. And before this race, over the past few days, I've had a really sore throat, and that has definitely just killed it. I'm not going to be able to talk for the next 3 weeks.
But I'm more thinking, how does Dutchy do it?
Hacks.
How?
Hacks. It's hacks. He has aimbot.
Yeah. I think we.
He's like Jackson Storm in cars. He has the racing line just engraved into his driving style.
I think it'd be funny if we kicked him.
But
we still gave him the win.
I mean, you have to be friends with the host of the lobby to join. So if we just don't friend Dutchy, then he can't join.
Exactly. It's just.
We're giving people ideas here. We should probably.
Yeah, we should probably stop talking.
Yeah, going back to complimenting drivers. It's been a stunning job from Dutchy here. Who actually, on the topic of that, I think Finn, Piero
Of the day.
are the only ones who I've noticed who haven't made a mistake. Did Finn make a mistake earlier? I don't think he did.
No, he was solid. Did Wickley make a mistake?
Yes, the main reason he's down in 7th place and not the lead.
True. So I thought a strategy. Aston, Ted, Wolfie, they all made mistakes.
So
Piero, I think
Piero's had a nice quiet race here, to be honest. In 6th place, he's bagging good points for the team. I don't think he's made a major mistake, so congrats to Finn and Piero for keeping it consistent throughout this race. It's definitely a challenging track. Sorry, a challenging technical track. The first sector, obviously, it's 6 corners. The first sector, left and right and left and right. Very challenging.
As Tiger's catching up to Tim now a lot, he's just under 2 seconds.
Well, I mean,
he will be raging. Oh, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that debrief.
He's purple through the first sector. This is what I get for saying Tiger's gonna win the race.
Oh my god! Did you
I didn't say that actually. That wasn't actually me. But I'm going to retire. Yeah, I'm going to retire after this race. So we have a free slot available for the rest of the championship. If anyone's interested in commentating, just contact me and we'll get you involved. The comments have definitely blown up since the incident.
Not surprised, to be honest.
Lot of viewers interested in the party between those two.
I'll mute my mic. I'm going to go into
that actually looked very similar to Hamilton Rosberg in 2016. One driver going off to the grass, careering off perpendicular to the track and hitting their teammate. You know what? If someone wants to do that, make a comparison, send it to me on Instagram or Discord.
Cryptic, what's Two Saints YouTube? I'll mute my mic. I just want to.
We're gonna have.
Tiger nearly hitting Tim. They're all over each other.
I'm sure.
That sounded a bit bad.
I'm sure Tiger's going to be quite hot-headed under the helmet in the cockpit of that Nissan on the penultimate lap now. Sets the fastest lap of the race, a 147 flat. Definitely, I think, is going to be aggressive on this last lap. We got cheers for Tim in the chat, but who's going to claim 4th place in this race? I'm keeping an eye out on the front guys as well, just in case there are any incidents. But here we go, it's all down to this. Can Tiger secure a few more points in the championship, or is Dutchy going to extend his lead out in front? And it's looking that way for now. He's currently leading this race by about 2.5 seconds as he approaches Spoon Curve. Still in the lead, unfortunately, but there's plenty of time to still make mistakes. Speaking of mistakes, Tiger picks up a 4/10 penalty. Would have been a 5/10 penalty, but is able to serve 1/10 of those. Needs to be calm, needs to be collective here after that earlier incident. Definitely will be checked out by the stewards, I'm sure.
Right. I have found Dutchy, Toussaint and Tiger in the same party. I'm going to listen to it. If there's no bad words, can I share it?
Not, you can tell us what they said, but I don't think they're going to want to hear it.
1 second, let me just listen to it I won't play it out loud.
Meanwhile, Thunder in the pit lane getting all the info. Tiger and Tim are now going to go wheel to wheel down the back straight in towards 130R. Tiger on the outside, he's ahead of Tim, going into the corner and secures P4 for now, but he's got 3 tenth penalties to serve as Play Dutchy going on to the final lap of the race. These two going through the final few corners. It looks like Tiger might have cut the corner there. We'll wait to see if he gains a penalty, but here we go on to the final lap of the race. 18 corners remain for Tim to try and fight back and get 4th place, and Cryptech having quite a wild reaction to that earlier incident, going back up to board with Dutchy. An absolutely outstanding comeback drive, has a 3-second lead to the guys behind. I'm sure it's going to be a tough one for the guys involved in that incident.
The main in the party, it was mainly Toussaint, Tiger not realising actually not what he'd done, but just unaware really, and Toussaint bit annoyed at Tiger, but then Tiger bit annoyed at Toussaint, and then Dutchy laughing.
Of course, Dutchy would be pleased to see his championship rivals in the barrier.
But Tiger needs to serve this penalty.
He does, and does have Tim all over him. Will Tim try and send one down the inside of the hairpin? Doesn't quite send one there. Meanwhile,
he is serving the penalty.
It's going to be close. He might be able to serve it into the final corner. I'm going to put the camera back up onto Play Dutchy though, coming round the final few corners where his championship rivals fell, and he's going to come round the final corner, and it's going to be 4 out of 5, and he's going to take home 1st place. Tim and Tiger going wheel to wheel. Tim's going to get ahead, going into Spoon. Bin finishes in 2nd. Tim goes into 3rd. Toussaint into 3rd. But we're going to have a showdown here for 4th place between Tim and Tiger. Who's going to get it? Tiger served his penalty. He's going to go to the inside into 130R. Tim's slightly ahead, but for how much longer? They're still wheel to wheel. They're side by Tim's. Tim's forced up wide. He's going to rejoin the track wheel to wheel to the inside. There's contact. Tiger's almost sitting to a high spin, and there's my voice just incredibly dying from this race. But Tiger's able to secure 4th place, and Tim is going to take home 5th place after getting pole here in Suzuka. And I'm glad that's the end of it. Piero in 6th place, kept it really clean, really consistent. I don't think I'm going to be able to speak for the next week, as here goes Wiggly. A really unfortunate race for him after the earlier incidents. Finishes in 7th place. Coming across the line in 8th is Aston F1 1996. Some points for Thunder's team. Ted beating Wolfie here. There's 30 seconds left on the race clock.
I can't believe that race. Imagine all 3 of them got taken out, all with engine damage, and Aston wins.
That would have been quite the sight, as Ted beats his brother, beats his Brute B teammate, slows down, kind of is he going to wait for Wolfie here? He's going to wait for his teammate, crosses the line, and rubbing a little bit of salt in the wound there, as Wolfie, after a few mistakes early, finishes in 10th place. But there is your start finishing grid. An amazing 3-stop strategy brings Dutchy back up into the lead of the race, just like last week in Alsace, gains 4 positions from his starting grid. Wow. I think Tiger got the fastest lap in the end, and will be claiming an extra point in the championship. I need to save the race replay. Let me save the race replay. It's not letting me save the replay. Let me save the replay, please.
I'll try. There's complete silence in the BCMR party.
I'm just going to send a message in this chat.
I saved it.
Did you say? Okay. Never mind then. Anyway, there is just finishing grid. Dutchy takes home another win. 4 out of 5 for him. The only one he didn't win was in Alsace, but he's bounced back and finishes Group 2 with 4 wins out of 5. The only group last season where he only won 1 race out of the 4, so it's definitely turned things around this season. But Finn finishes in second place, his highest finish of the season so far. That's the two BCMR boys in third and fourth place after their incident. 2% in third, Tiger with the fastest lap of a 147 flat in fourth place. Tim on a recovery drive in fifth place, beating Piero in sixth, and 4 more further drivers having to make recovery drives. Wiggly in seventh, Aston in eighth, Ted beating his Group B teammates in ninth and 10th. But overall, Webson's will be getting Wolfie's points, and Rick Holt will be getting Ted's points. Your 2 DNFs, Bonnie, 3 DNFs, Bonnie, Dan Schneider, and the Scout Dan, who won't be scoring any points today. Unfortunate for them.
Rip.
But
what a race that was, though.
Absolutely incredible. Group A never seems to disappoint. I was just about to say, do you have any comments about that race?
Just wow.
I mean, we had all sorts of actions from a neutral's perspective anyway. You've got to kind of take these races from a neutral's. Absolutely incredible. I don't think it was as good as Alsace, but definitely up there with one of the best races of the season. It's like, for Dutchy, it's going to be a really good race for him. For Tiger, for Tim, for Wiggly, probably not so much. And yeah, that's kind of differs when you ask a driver about the best race of the season. But 2 cents left the lobby. I don't think he's going to be best pleased about that result. But anyway, next week is our first break week, and the week after we'll be moving into Group 4, into the slowest car class this season for Willow Springs, Red Bull Ring, and then Interlagos are the next 3 tracks, Interlagos being the Group 4 sprint race, so stay tuned for that. Tomorrow though, we have the Group B Championship still underway for Suzuka in Group 2, just like today. Join us tomorrow, same time, and it's goodbye from me. We'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.